Hey there, this is Seth Juarez coming to you from the Washington State Convention Center for Day 3 of Build 2017 edition. I have here the band of ruffians that make languages.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Ruffians.
Absolutely.
It's a great way to start.
Scruffy-looking
Seth.
Should I?
I haven't shaved all week.
I asked
hair,
Dustin,
superhero.
how long does his beard have to get before you have to start working on C++?
Wow, that's really. You should feel ashamed of that. I mean,
I am. I'm a little ashamed, but not much.
That's a beautiful language. But it gets down to here, and I'm on Scheme.
Oh, right. Awesome. All right, so this is all about you. We have questions for the language folks. Last year we didn't have you, and I wished you were here, and so I made a point to say Anthony needs to be here, otherwise it's not a complete family.
Yeah, you're starting to make me feel like the black sheep of the family.
So, all right, so we got languages represented here. VB, C Sharp, 2 C Sharps?
Yes, sorry. We come as a pair.
Okay. And then F Sharp, of course. And by the way, keep the questions coming. They're already coming in. And obviously the first question has to be about F Sharp because F Sharp's a beautiful language. What are my options for developing UWP apps in F Sharp? Is the Win32 bridge the only way?
So currently there's no supported way to build UWP apps with F Sharp using the standard toolchain. However, there is a technology that you can use if you use the Fable compiler, which compiles F Sharp to JavaScript, and you use that to target React Native. You can target UWP today with that.
How much tape am I using for that, though?
It's pretty good.
Okay.
The Fable compiler is legit. It produces amazing JavaScript.
So I haven't heard of it. Tell me about the Fable compiler because now I'm interested because I made a funny joke that was not as funny because apparently it's really awesome.
Yeah. It's an open source project. So we had about an hour and a half show on the on.net show that I highly recommend people check out if they're interested, where it supports all the standard JavaScript tooling. It has source map in the browser, so you can debug F Sharp code in the browser. You can target React Native, so you can run it on all different types of mobile apps and things like that. And kind of as I said, it produces actually really good JavaScript. And so because it's good, it's like even human readable JavaScript, which is kind of incredible.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now I feel like a dunce. And by the way, he is my side eye. He's closest to me because he gives the best side eyes, and so you'll see them every once in a while. That was happening. Next question. What steps are being taken to make C# more friendly to write machine learning programs?
More friendly to writing machine learning programs. Well, I guess we're not directly sort of targeting machine learning, but we are taking steps in the next cycle here across the .NET Framework, runtime, and C# language to make sort of low-level safe code better. So if you have compute-intensive things where your performance sucks or you need to interrupt, like you often do with machine learning, to languages in other libraries, to libraries in other languages, then things should get better for you, and you should get a safer, more efficient, low-level experience.
And I feel like, and I'm a machine learning guy. I love machine learning. I wrote a library that does machine learning in C#. I found that some of the improvements, for example, with ref returns and being able to manage memory a little bit better is awesome because you're working with huge matrices all the time, and you can't be just duplicating these and passing them around. So that's some of the cool stuff that you've also done.
Yeah, we're definitely continuing that trend that you already started to see in C# 7.
Awesome. Next question. When will NuGet packages come to C# Interactive?
I don't know.
So it is in the future. So this is a shared problem between C# and F# Interactive, and this is something that we care about. And there's a lower level design that needs to be shared across both that we're not only aware of, but also in the process of thinking about and trying to come up with a good design so that it can surface properly.
Yeah, and the community's actively working on some of this, right? There's actually a pull request right now on the OmniSharp project to try and bring in the ability to reference NuGet packages within CSX files.
Wow.
That right away we were like, hey, we need to align this with another issue over on the F# repo where they're talking about exactly the same thing. Mm-hmm. And so right now the community is also just talking about and figuring out how do we unify and what does it look like when you say #R and then some NuGet package identity and what that looks like and how it works.
And there's also a prototype on the F# repository that does this with the packet dependency resolver, which is like a superset over NuGet.
Got it.
And it works today quite well, but it doesn't use sort of like this lower level design that we would like everything to share, but it's a really good model of showing what it could look like, and because it's usable, you could actually try it out and play around with it.
So I'd say we're not leading here on this one. I mean, the community's seeing the need and going and doing work and working together to come up with a good solution.
Awesome. So for those that are watching and they're new to C#, F#, VB, can you explain how they are actually all related when it comes to .NET?
Ooh.
It's like, there's cousins, and then there's the...
It's like the cousins we never talk about.
Oh, I see. No, but because it's important to understand that when it comes to these languages, they all compile down to the same kind of thing. Is that right?
They do. And there are some commonalities between the languages because of that, but mostly that just you have the same enormous set of wonderful libraries accessible to you on the .NET platform. We are actually probably as conscious as ever about making the languages feel, have the different target feels, if you will. So whether you program in C#, VB, or F#, you can probably do whatever you like in all three, but they all have their strengths and differences, and that's something to emphasize, not trying to make them all just like skins on the same core .NET language.
So is there ability to create assemblies in all the languages and share all that code with each other?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you're like cousins from the South then. I trying to go with a side eye. No.
Seth.
I'm going to get in trouble. Peter, let's move on. Will it be possible to create Net Standard 2.0 library in VB.NET? And will VB.NET ever get pattern matching?
So actually, if I'm not mistaken, we released the .NET Standard 2.0 support in the preview that came out yesterday. So you can go download that and do it now. As for pattern matching, which camera am I on? Pick a camera, any camera, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, you can look at look at me. I know it's hard.
I'll look into your dreamy eyes. So, Seth.
Yes.
Regarding the pattern matching.
Yeah, it's a problem that we've been having. I was hoping we could hash this out.
How do we get this done?
We need to move forward.
Okay, pattern matching is a feature that definitely will be coming to Visual Basic. We've kind of wanted to, and we've worked on it for like a while. We had 2 years of design.
You had this awesome prototype at one point, yeah.
We had a prototype. We released it in an end-user preview a few years back. But one of the things to keep in mind about pattern matching is that it's not like a single feature that you drop in one release of the language and then you're done. It's like the beginning of this whole story in both VB and C#. We've talked about adding more patterns incrementally over time to both of the languages. And so where it was at the end of the previous release is that the infrastructure inside of select case was kind of narrowly designed around the scenario of just doing a type case. And we really wanted to go back in there and build out kind of an infrastructure in select case for full pattern matching where we could just drop in new patterns as they matured. So absolutely, I think everybody is interested in getting pattern matching in Visual Basic. I know the IDE team loves using it all over the code, and the compiler team loves using it. I want to use it. So that'll be coming.
Okay,
Well,
cool.
yeah. I should also mention that the C#, the way that we chose to design that for C#, at least the way it looks in the language, marries very well with VB as well. So things like when clauses and the switch statement and all that, that's very, very, very nice in VB.
So back to your marrying cousins example.
Let's make that joke die. Any news on record types and immutability? Goodness.
Yeah, so assuming this is for C#, F# already has records and immutability.
Like they're literally, everyone's trying to troll you to start to argue with each other. They're really trying.
So I can't say that they're news. We have the beginnings of a design for record types in C# as sort of an abbreviation of writing a class that kind of sort of flips all the defaults of C#. That's sort of an immutable class that has value equality rather than mutable classes with reference equality, and sort of can auto-generate a lot of that for you. And I actually have a slide on it in the talk we're giving in a few hours. But
and I think we're streaming that talk, by the way.
Yeah, that one's streaming. But I don't know, it's news. We've been talking about it for a bit. And it's one of those candidates for the next major version of C# that we'll be looking at.
All right. Next question. I'm just going to go with the questions because there's so many. Will GoTo def find all refs work going between C# and F# projects?
So today, no, because effectively to make that happen for C# and VB, I had to rewrite the compilers.
You should try it sometime.
Yes. There's already a prototype for getting that working between F# and C#. Now, there's still a tremendous amount of work involved because it is a very challenging problem. It's something that's definitely on our roadmap, though, because cross-language, find all refs, cross-language, basically anything is is amazing, and we want to have it.
Cool. So it's something that's planned for.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, F# and C# in the same solution, same application is a fairly common scenario in
Right.
some. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Nice. Next question. Any plans for a translator for C# into TypeScript client-side spot coding?
We don't have those plans.
Okay. But I know there's something that's been done.
Well, we
in
have
that area.
manual translation. We have Anders, who
Anders is in the back.
translates C#.
Who is actually going to be on later on today. Maybe
Yeah.
we should ask him. Are they going to make a C# to TypeScript compiler? He's like, I'm going to tell some people some stuff. I've heard of a community effort of something that does C# to JavaScript.
Yep.
This is a long time ago.
Yeah, no, people are trying this out. We at Microsoft haven't put wood behind that particular arrow. I mean, it's the obvious way to get C# running in a browser.
Right.
So it's interesting to do, but yeah, it's not been on our.
I've never heard the analogy of the arrow. That's like the coolest thing I've ever heard.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard? Does he tell this?
Totally.
it's manager speak.
It's manager speak.
We came up with it
Yeah.
once we did the sort of expression-bodied members, and there were just so many arrows and C#.
Oh, of course.
You were like, that's a great saying. And I was like, ooh, Mads said that manager speak right now. That's what I was feeling when he did it.
Nice. From Dylan, F# tooling is getting better in Visual Studio, but it's still missing a lot of templates. Like for Service Fabric, is the plan to get the community to fill in the blanks?
That's a good question. Well, so because F# and its tooling is open source, if the community feels as though they could make a template really quickly, we will take it and merge it in immediately. Templates are something that we are looking at right now. There's capabilities that we don't have templates for, and that's kind of a big blocker to be able to use it because wiring up that stuff kind of sucks. So yes, there are plans to do it, like not literally today.
Okay. So
but
you're not going to go back to your home and just be like,
well, you
"All
see,
right."
who knows, right? I mean, maybe I'll think about, well, is this the most important thing that I could do today? And I might just go and do it.
Okay.
It kind of depends.
Okay. Next question. What does F# have that does not have C#, that C# does not have? Again, they're trolling you. They want you to start like,
Why does that matter?
wow, look at him. He went the Gandhi route.
Oh yes, we're all. It's all really the same.
Yeah.
Ben.
I mean, use
So-
F# because F# is beautiful. Use C# because C# is beautiful.
F# certainly has features that C# doesn't have, and vice versa. So they're sort of, they have different emphasis, if you will, in the languages.
Yeah, and I mean, because F# is a functional programming language, it has a lot of features that are aligned with that particular paradigm. And so if C# were to just say, oh, well, we're just going to copy all of that, then it may not necessarily feel like C#, right? And so,
Right.
I mean, vice versa, if F# were to just look at C# and say, oh, we're just going to copy that right there, then it wouldn't necessarily feel like proper F#
Right.
too. And so there is kind of this sense of like they run on this, the same platform, they can talk to each other, but they still kind of have these distinct identities, which
Right.
is what makes them great.
Right.
That's why they have such passionate people using them.
I mean, a good example of that is like when we did actually bring pattern matching and tuples into C#, when we did that in C# 7, we did it in a very C# way, right? They don't look really much like
No, they
F# at
don't.
all, right? F#'s tuples are immutable. Their pattern matching has these very rich kind of pattern matching over the record types and everything. And we took some very, very simple things, and then we also said, well, C# is, for better or for worse, it's an imperative programming language, right?
Sure.
And so our tuples are mutable and value types instead of what we did with F#. So you do those features kind of in the context of the language and kind of true to that particular language's style, right?
Right.
So
I
we
think,
have-
I
I'm
think
sorry,
it's
go ahead.
important to point out that F#, other than just being a functional language, has several very, very cool language features that only F# has, like in the
Yes.
whole world, right? That have been pioneered by F#, like type providers, units of measure,
Yeah,
making
that's-
sure your math doesn't go off the rails, so you add inches to centimeters or whatever. So F# has like this whole grab bag of very, very cool things that are just in F#. Compared to other functional languages as well, F# has some real advantages.
Awesome. We're going to burn through some questions. We have 5 minutes. While we can use VB to write PCL for use in Xamarin projects, is there any progress on bringing VB to Xamarin projects themselves?
On that front, there is some progress. I mean, that we have developers who have started the work and looked at it. Don't have any ETA to talk about now, but it's a question we get all the time. It's something I'm very interested in doing. We're very interested in bringing. Customers have said it's very valuable to them, and when we have updates, we'll tell you.
Awesome. Do you ever look at Golang and Swift and are tempted to take learnings and start over with brand new language? Ooh. Burn it all down.
There's nothing more satisfying than starting over with a brand new language, but then you also start out with 0 users.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
Build up
there's
a whole
so
new
many
customer base.
mistakes left to still make. So it's tempted in the emotional sense maybe sometimes when you're when you're cursing all those things that you would have done a little differently today, but not tempted in a business sense. There's no way that it would be a good idea for us to scrap this trio of languages and start something new.
It's just totally I was thinking about that. The most common phrase spoken in the C# language design meeting when we talk about these features and what we want to do is, well, but that would be a breaking change.
Yeah.
We have
So
users.
constrained
And
by
then
our...
he whips out the arrow analogy, right?
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and it's not necessarily at the language level either. I mean, there are some platform level things that, for example, Go does that are great that we can look at for inspiration, and
Totally.
we absolutely are.
Oh, yeah. We're certainly inspired by those languages. It's just the starting over part that I don't think is...
I mean, it would
that's
keep
not
us
in the-
employed, or maybe it wouldn't.
Oh, maybe. I mean, then
Probably
you'd have
not.
0 users, right? All right, so we have about 3 minutes. We have a ton of VB.NET code, and we think it's going to take years to convert it to C#. Any tools in the pipe? I mean, my question would be, why would you want to change it over? I mean,
It's a good question. So the issue with tools is a lot of people, they think, well, for VB and C#, you just chop off some semicolons and you're done. And being on the Roslyn team that had to re-implement both of the compilers side by side, we spent like 5 years learning that that's not true. There are actually like a bookload of differences between them, and so getting a translation tool that would actually do that accurately is an incredibly hard problem now. What we have going for us is that we're working on this iOperation kind of package that kind of has an interface over the semantic tree of a VB program or C# program, and I think tools like that look at sort of the more lowered form of the languages will make it easier to do a semantic translation as opposed to what we've kind of seen in the past, which is a simple syntax transformation. But just as the common example, in VB, you don't know if like a dot identifier is a method call, a property access, an index, or in C# is that a property access or a method group. And so, the semantics between the languages, the overload resolution, I know Dustin knows a lot about the differences there. Really hard problem.
Yeah, and I want to get at, you said, why would one do that? And I think that's an important question to ask, like, why are you asking this question? Sometimes you really do want some C# code. Maybe you have some samples you want to translate over. Maybe you don't have enough VB developers and you need to just get your source code into something your developers do well. But if it's just because you want to interrupt better with some C# code you also have, then I want to say that actually since VS 2015, our tooling has become a lot better for working across the two languages. Like the cross referencing that we talked about before with F#, that stuff is excellent between C# and VB now, thanks to the Roslyn infrastructure. So if it's just to have your existing code base coexist with C# code, you're in a much, much better place now, and maybe the answer just is don't.
yeah. So we only have 60 seconds left. This has been really awesome. Looking to the future, what are some things you're looking for? You each have like 20 seconds per language. Go ahead.
Start over there.
F#.
I care a lot about data science and machine learning for F#. The community already uses it for a lot of that, and I want to pursue that heavily.
I like that. C#.
C#, I care about a number of things. One is making sure that the tooling experiences are great cross-platform in whatever you decide to use. But I also care very much about kind of taming C# for getting data to and from across the wire.
Love it. Love it. BB?
For VB, I really care about kind of looking at some of the modern common tasks that people are doing and getting more abstractions kind of built in the language to make that easier for people who otherwise wouldn't do any programming to get their feet wet and be very productive doing that. So in the same vein as XML literals kind of makes it easy if you're dealing with XML, looking at features that might apply to more common activities today.
This is awesome. Like, we should do this more often. I feel like we only do this once a year.
Because build is once a year?
Well, we have a studio in the same building you work in.
It's a different floor.
It's like just below.
Yeah, we have to go down these stairs and like.
I don't think our
the first
badges
floor's
get
all
us down there.
confusing.
Look, you know where to find us.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much for spending some time with us. We've been learning all about the languages. This is the language team. Thanks so much for spending some time with us. We will see you after this next session.